In conjunction with CDGA Television and CGN, we are happy to bring you opening round coverage of the 2025 Chicago Adaptive Open from beautiful Fox Bend Golf Club here in Oswego, Illinois. I'm Dan Rohn alongside Tim Merrick, the Senior Director of Communications for the Chicago District Golf Association. Tim, great to be alongside you. This should be a lot of fun this weekend.
Dan, we've been putting a lot of work in and behind the scenes. It's been a total team effort, and we're happy to be here at Fox Bend with this second edition of the Chicago Adaptive Open.
Of course, last year was played at Cog Hill. We have moved a little bit further west this year out to Oswego. Great partners here at Fox Bend. They have bent over backwards to accommodate this tournament, and we certainly appreciate that. There are some of the numbers on Fox Bend that tease that different classifications of players will be playing. TA, 6,000 yards or so, a little bit under that from the white tees, and then a bit further up for the people playing the gold tees. Lou Ramadani is the PGA Pro here, and Bob Kolstad, the superintendent, have the golf course in great shape, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. We enjoyed a great day yesterday for the Pro-Am as you participated in, and looking forward to a great weekend here. As we get started into the weekend, some information on some of the sports classifications that we will be dealing with this weekend. You'll see here a couple classes with golfers with limb impairments. We'll go with golfers with arm impairments as well. A couple of those different sports classifications there. All of this information is available at cdga.org/adaptiveopen. Some more verbiage here. Golfers with combined impairments in arms and legs. We do have some seated golfers this week. Quite the scene to see them tee off and play some incredible golf.
Including the great Dennis Walters, whom you'll meet a little bit later on this
World
morning.
Golf Hall of Famer. We've got some golfers with visual impairments as well. We've also got some golfers shortened in stature, as well as some with intellectual disabilities. A wide array of disabilities, all playing some competitive golf this weekend.
Yep, 15 classifications in all. They're playing for a purse of $30,000, which is twice what we had last year. So I'm sure the players are very appreciative of that as we get closer to tee times here at Fox Bend. Yeah. A 36-hole medal competition. Suffice it to say, Tim, the weather, while not raining, nice and dry, is going to be very hot today and very breezy as well.
Yes, very gusty conditions, as you can see there in the first tee, and I believe heat indices will be over 100 degrees this weekend. So hoping everybody stays hydrated, but again, we're here for a great cause and looking forward to seeing some great golf as well. While we have a moment before we tee off, we do want to thank our presenting sponsor this year, Illinois Bone and Joint Institute. They've been a great partner in helping us, as you mentioned, raise that purse this year. They've provided a lot of financial help as well as being here on site this week. And we're happy with the partnership, and hopefully everybody can see that come to fruition this weekend.
We should mention off the top that this won't be a traditional golf broadcast this morning anyway. What we're going to try and do is introduce you to all the players who are playing. So we'll try to get everybody teeing off number 1 or number 10 this morning. Tee time should be over with around 11 o'clock or so. And then tomorrow's broadcast, which may or may not start at noon, depending on if tee times are moved up because of the heat, but we'll have more on that in a bit. Tomorrow's broadcast will be more traditional. You'll see some real golf out there and some really good golf shots. I mean, there are some phenomenal athletes out there with some incredible stories.
Absolutely, Dan. And like you said, we have a lot of golfers who are traveling from all over the country, all over the world. And our thought process, which is kind of give them that moment in the sun here this morning, provide a little background on each of them as our viewers can see kind of the diversity and impairments, disabilities, as well as just some of the great golf that all of these people can play with.
Some of the spectators who've come out this morning, Fox Bend has a pretty good-sized parking lot. But it's not big enough to accommodate all the people that might want to come out and watch some of this competition. So I believe there's remote parking just east of where we are near the Home Depot store in a mall just east on Route 34 here. And they'll cart you over here and get a chance to see this if you want to come out and watch it live. It's really, really something to see. As you mentioned, I played in the Pro-Am yesterday with Ryan Jackson, who's an assistant golf coach of the women's team at Western Michigan, a Floridian who went to school at Eastern Illinois. And last year at Cog Hill in the opening round shot 71 and was the overall women's champion. I mean, she is a player delightful to hang out with all day yesterday. I hope we didn't adversely affect her game coming into today. She's going to be first off the tee on number 1 today.
Well, Dan, you're a stick in yourself, so I'm sure it wasn't too bad. But yes, Ryan has a pedigree of competing in these championships across the country, and we're just excited to get this event underway. Like I said, it's been quite a long winter and spring season here, getting ready for this following the inaugural edition last year. As you see Eric Ciotti in the first tee there on the right with Lou Ramadani. As you said, Fox Bend has been such a great host site for this championship, and we're looking forward to showcasing the golf course here over the next 2 days.
Eric will be handling the announcements on the first tee, and Patrick Sheilak will be over at number 10. So we'll hear from both those as we move along this morning. Getting pretty close to tee time here.
Yeah, like I said, the Pro-Am yesterday, we had a nice dinner and awards reception and just welcoming everybody. As you said, just some great golf that we're looking forward to seeing. Last year we saw some great competition, but more importantly, some great camaraderie. As it looks like Jared Foltz here will be the first to step on the tee, the overall winner from last year's championship over at Cog Hill.
And Arizona, and Jared is a really good player. Played in junior college in Arizona, as we said, from Queen Creek. Went to college at Southern Virginia University, I should say. And it's a guy who's really put some scores on the board over the course of his golf career, and winning last year, we found out what kind of a player he is.
Absolutely. Also the assistant golf coach for both the men's and women's programs, the golf teams there at SVU in Virginia.
The first hole here is a fairly straightforward par 4, 345 for Jared Foltz, but it is dead into the wind, so it's not going to play quite as easily as it might normally play.
Seemed pretty happy with that drive there. So a nice way to get this championship underway.
This is Ford Martin. Tell us about him, Tim. This guy's got a pedigree.
Yeah, Ford Martin. We were just doing some research here on our player information forms that all the participants completed here, and he emerged victorious in the Arizona Adaptive Open last fall there, and is a current men's club champion at Congressional Country Club. So
that's a pretty good move right there. Low round of 66 at Congressional.
Yeah.
That tells you a little something right there.
Not bad history there. So him and his wife are expecting their first child here in October, and as many new parents are unwilling to find out the gender. So it'll be quite a surprise here when the little one pops out in the fall.
All right, and we're moving up to the next tee area for Ryan Jackson, who, as we mentioned, had the unfortunate opportunity to play with us in the Pro-Am yesterday. She didn't learn anything, let's put it that way, but I hope she was able to put those bad shots out of her mind.
Yep. Her most recent competition here for Ryan, the Indiana Adaptive Open in late May here, and again earned the title of overall women's champion. So Ryan, quite the player in her own right. We're looking forward to seeing her get her first round underway.
She is. She's a lefty. She's very straight. Doesn't hit it a great distance, but she's in play all the time, and a very well-rounded game. She can really keep it in play, and that's an important thing out here, especially in the wind.
Absolutely.
She's not going to hit it really hard and put a lot of spin on the ball, which really kind of plays to her benefit in some of these holes that are upwind.
Starting time. Please welcome the 2024 Women's Overall Champion of the Chicago Adaptive Open from Madera Beach, Florida, Ryan Jackson.
The ovation there for the defending women's champion. The gold tee marker is about 260 on this par 4.
Very simple swing. A little bit to the right, I was going to say, except it went right over the barber pole.
Yep.
You'll see a lot of that from her as
Yes.
the weekend progresses.
Can't complain with that opening shot. So again, happy to get this first round underway. We'll switch over here. We'll be kind of hopping back and forth between the first and 10th tee. As you can see, we'll see the 10th tee here shortly. Tee time is spaced out a little bit, 5 minutes to each tee. So again, wanting to provide information on all of these golfers that they, as they, have a background of great golf and are great stories here, highlighting what the game of golf can provide and the happiness that these individuals receive from competing in events such as these.
Yeah, this is, it's so great. And, there are people here with disabilities, obviously. First and foremost, Tim, they're golfers just like the rest of us.
Absolutely. Recalling back to last year's edition, it's in a championship, a lot of people consider it, me versus the rest of the field, whereas last year players were making birdies, making long putts, and then high-fiving each other, fist-bumping each other. That's just stuff that you don't see everywhere else, and all these people were dealt a bad hand in life and have come on the other side, and it's just a great weekend to showcase their abilities and, like I said, the ways that the game of golf can bring us all together. Again, this 10th tee, par 5 versus the first hole being a par 4. You see there at the top right, the back tees extending to about 475. So a bit of variation here on the front and back nines.
The wind on 10 will be from the right, blowing across the fairway, so it won't be quite the hindrance that it is on number 1.
Yep.
In this group, we have Michael Karn, I believe, and Mark Sissom and Tim Haley.
Yep, Michael Kame, Mark Sissom, and Tim Haley, all leg impairment in the legs. Kame and Sissom above the knee, while Haley's leg impairments has both legs here. You see the CDGA's Patrick Sheilak announcing this first group off the 10th tee. Looks like Michael Kame will be the first to tee off here, the 23-year-old from Olympia, Washington.
Michael's from Olympia, but has moved to Chicago now, so he's based right here.
Yep, home course of Marquette Park, and seemed happy with that tee shot again. First hole, par 5, but happy to get his round underway.
Well, you can see those trees and bushes moving in the background. There is a lot of breeze up there today. Thankfully, really, because if there weren't, by the time the day gets a little bit past noon, I think that temperatures would be overwhelming if there weren't a little bit of Mother Nature's air conditioning going on out there.
Absolutely.
Good swing, good contact.
Seemed content with that one as well. Mark there.
Tim Haley from Roseville, California. Plays out of Sierra View Country Club there in Roseville. Southern California Adaptive Championship. His last competition.
All right, good luck and play well, gentlemen.
Another quality drive there off the 10th tee. Sure, these players are ready to get their rounds underway. Dan, you're a competitor in some of these CDGA events. Do you ever have first tee nerves there when you get on the first tee?
I have first tee nerves driving in the car on the way to the golf course. Part of my problem. No composure, Tim. It's an issue that I'm still dealing with. But, that's all part of it, though. That's what makes it fun. You get those butterflies, and get out there and get that first one in the air, and things seem to calm down pretty fast. Our second group off number one, we want to make a specific mention of Roger Johnson, Tim, whose trip to Chicago here has been a pretty rough ride this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Roger shared with us that he recently lost his mother in dealing with some sickness. So we want to send our wishes and thoughts and prayers to his family. And he has dedicated his season here to playing and playing in these championships to her. He shared with our Mike Gilligan that he wanted to come to this event because of the camaraderie, the community that this event brings, and the fun that he had last year at Cog Hill. So, Dan, we're thinking of Roger and his family and hoping for a fun-filled, competitive weekend. Playing in this group with Roger Johnson are Rick Riley and Matt Snowden. Ricky Riley hails from Syracuse, while Matt Snowden is from Annapolis, Maryland. Bit of a wait here in the first tee as we wait for this group on the green to finish up. I'm sure these people are ready to get underway after that Pro-Am yesterday, a couple days of practice and preparation, and get on the course and see what they've got to show.
Every player I talked to yesterday thought that Fox Bend was really in good shape and really a nice spot for an event like this to take place.
Absolutely, and as you said, Fox Bend giving us the facilities for the entirety of the weekend, so couldn't be more thankful to Lou and the staff here for providing this golf course for not only a good cause, but to showcase these players in the way that they deserve.
Yeah, and the Oswego Land Park District, of course, runs the facility here, and thank all those people over there, and a lot of volunteers out here to help make certain that this runs as smoothly as it possibly can, and it's really fun to see everybody turn out. Even yesterday for the Pro-Am, and I'm sure there'll be a much more bigger group out here today.
Yeah, that volunteer force, a mixture of both CDGA volunteers, but also just golf enthusiasts and members of the community that want to give back to the game that we all love so much.
This is the 9:10 starting time off the number 1 tee. Please welcome from Annapolis, Maryland, Matthew Snowden.
Looks like Roger here will be the first to tee off.
Good smooth swing.
Yeah, quite the swing there.
Taking a long look at it.
As we talked about with some of these backstories, Roger was born with cerebral palsy due to an epidural shot reversing itself. So again, some of these stories make you, thankful for some of the lives that we live, and obviously these players are thankful for the opportunity to showcase their competitive side here.
Ricky Riley on the tee. This is a classic swing here.
Classic look too with the bucket hat.
Big wraparound finish for Ricky. And that one looked to be right down central also.
Yep. Ricky competed in the 2024 U.S. Adaptive Open in Kansas and is headed back to that championship here this year.
Next up should be Matt Snowden from the Naval Academy Golf Club. How about that?
Yeah, a great facility there, I'm sure. And, you know, reading through these player information forms here, Dan, Matt Snowden's ideal dream foursome would be an eclectic mix. We got Scotty Scheffler, Michael Jordan, Dave Matthews, and his Uncle George.
That's good. That's really good. That's one of the best ones, I think.
You've got your golf, your basketball, your music. What can go wrong in that group, right?
I don't know if Dave Matthews or Uncle George, for that matter, is a really avid golfer, but I know Michael Jordan is.
I'm sure the vibes in that group will be off the charts. Snowden recently competed in the I Got This tournament in February of this year out in Phoenix, Arizona, where he placed in first with rounds of 77 and 79.
Matt is moving up to the gold tee box, and he says his driver is the strongest part of his game, so he may be able to get pretty close to this if he gets into one.
Absolutely. He claims he hits it straight and far, so I guess that's all you can ask for.
Straight and far is not
right
bad.
there.
We like straight and far all the time. Another lefty. We've had kind of an inordinate amount of left-handers in these first couple of groups.
You see there in the orange polo our fellow communications staff member with the CDJ here, Simon Schuler, getting some of these photographs off the first tee here. So looking to highlight these players as much as we can. Keeping an eye on that one.
Couldn't quite see it come down, but I think it's in the fairway.
Yep, looks to be just short of the bunker there on the first. Quite the busy morning here, Dan. We've got the first round here, as well as Mike Gilligan on our staff, who's the host of the CDGA Golf Show on ESPN 1000, presented by Glenview Park Golf Club, another great partner. So he's broadcasting remotely here on site at the Adaptive Open. Again, just another avenue to showcase kind of the goodwill of this tournament and the players here.
Okay, we move on to hole number 10 now. This will be the second group off 10. Evan Mathias is on the box. Again, pretty happy with that one, I think, although he's given it a long look here. I watched Evan hit some balls on the range yesterday. Good swing.
Yep, quite the swing. Finished second overall in the Indiana Adaptive Open earlier this spring, and first in his sports classification of G3. Got Marcus Pierce here.
I mean, that's pretty amazing right there.
That takes definitely some strength to be able to do that. The 28-year-old from the Wisconsin, just north of the border here in Madison.
Now Daniel Wiseman ready to put one in the air. Daniel, his all-time low score, 73, and then 74 last year in this tournament at Cog Hill. Pretty good swing there.
Yep, and when asked what his dream foursome would be, he claims that he enjoys playing with players better than me, so he can learn from them. I know a lot of people, such as myself, might get a little jealous of somebody who's better than them on the golf course, or seeing them be able to hit it a little better, such as yourself, Dan. But a good viewpoint, and again, showcasing just the perspective that some of these players have.
Beds are no play zones. Relief is free and mandatory. There's a drop zone to the right of the 12.
Gonna move back over to tee number 1 now. And get ready to get things started with the Donarski Olsen Duffy group. We have a native Illinoisan in this group, Thomas Duffy from Utica. Still lives in Utica, went to Ottawa High School. Graduate of the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. Plays at Seneca's Oak Ridge Golf Club.
While not on the golf course, Duffy is also a great seated basketball player, Dan. Just won a national championship in wheelchair basketball with the Lincoln Way Special Recreation Association. And that kind of segues into some of the information and work that the CDGA and CDGA Foundation and our Sunshine programs do with some of these SRAs around the Chicago district, providing, competitive outlets for these players and golfers and people who wish to, test their skills outside of just the home life. So
said his favorite golf experience was playing at Pinehurst.
Imagine quite the experience, host of the U.S. Open last summer.
That would put him in a pretty good club, I would think, that of people that thought Pinehurst might be his favorite golf experience. Robbie Donarski is a cheesehead from Wisconsin. Won the Wisconsin Adaptive Tournament in 2023. Shot 71-71, Tim.
Not a bad 2-round score there, Dan. I would take that most days.
Has 1 hole-in-one to his credit.
One hole-in-one at the site of where Tiger Woods made his PGA Tour debut.
Brown Deer Park.
Quite the expansive education here for Donarski. He works as a CPA and a financial analyst and triple majored in business, accounting, and music performance.
He also likes his driver. He says not far, but very straight. So we'll check him out here on number 1. Playing from the white tee boxes.
Happy with that one there, Dan. And it looks like Robbie did participate in the inaugural edition of this event last year at Cog Hill, but had to withdraw the morning of the first round due to a back injury. So hoping to make it through the 2 rounds this year, and we wish Donarski nothing but the best.
They pounded that one right down the middle. A quick pickup of the tee. You always know that he's going to be in pretty good shape for
Always
a second
good
shot.
indication.
Good stuff there.
For me, sometimes a quick tee pickup means I'm out of the hole, but for these guys, definitely not that. So we'll move our way up to the gold tee set here for Duffy and Olson. Like Olson will be on the tee first here, Dan. Interesting tidbit. His dad is his caddy, so he helps him place the ball and direct his shots here. As you can see on the screen there, his dad actually grew up playing the course, Fox Bend, as a kid.
Is that right? I did not see that.
Where he learned to play golf and played in many junior courses, and actually in high school had the job of cutting the greens in the morning.
That's pretty great.
So in the words of Jake Olson, talk about course knowledge.
No kidding. He knows every blade of grass out here.
Blind Division I college football player.
Jake was quite the story when he played football at Southern Cal and actually got into a couple of games. And there's his opening swing of the tournament, visually impaired with no light perception. So, yeah, he's not really seeing where that ball is going, but his dad's got him lined up and into the rough, but close to the green. Pretty good shot there. Now we move on to Thomas Duffy here. As we said, an Illinois native. One of the seeded players that you'll see in the competition this weekend.
Talked about the volunteer force. We've got to give thanks to a lot of the caddies and player assistants throughout the weekend here to allow these players to tee it up.
Nice drive, Tom.
All right, off and running.
Move over to the 10th tee.
Evan Mathias on the tee at the par 5. Let me check that. That's Ronald Johnston.
Yep, this is the group of Johnston, Postillion, and Mosheri, James Mosheri. We've got Victor Postillion here, Hinsdale native, so not too far from here in the western suburbs. The swing there, keeping an eye on it, but looks to be happy with that one and in play.
Yeah, Vic's able to generate some pretty good club head speed with his technique there. If I'm not mistaken, Vic plays in a number of able-bodied tournaments as well around the Chicago area.
Claims low scores of multiple 66s in competition in both high school and junior golf competitions.
Yeah,
so
he can play for sure.
Quite the background there. We'll move up here to James Masheri, a G9 seeded player from Rochester Hills, Michigan.
I say the caddies and player assistants are pretty important here. I mean, you have to have that ball, especially for the seated players, exactly where they want it. In the air and on the fairway.
Yep.
Good start.
Shouts out his wife Amanda for taking care of things off the course, and to his sweet daughter Adeline, who turns 3 next month.
Good for him. Good for him.
And we've got first tee here, Eric Ciotti on your left, just giving some basic player information to these players as they get underway. So this will be the grouping of Mario Dino, Wake Mullins, and Matt Parker. As we've made mention before, and we will make mention of throughout this broadcast and tomorrow, as you can just see the tent there moving with the wind. So not only these players battling the heat today, but also the wind here and the wind gusts.
Yeah, in terms of the heat, I would think, you know, obviously that the players that go off early on this morning are going to have a bit of an advantage. It's more than likely going to get windier, and it's certainly going to get warmer as the day goes on.
Yep, again, important to note, it is still a competition here, as much as we'd like to highlight the camaraderie and community and skills of these players. There is, you know, a $30,000 purse there at the end of the 2 rounds up for grabs. So.
And Tim, we wound up with a field of 84. Is that correct? I think that's full field for this event.
Yep, and a slight increase from last year. So obviously in the inaugural edition, we were happy with the turnout, but word of mouth in this community, the disabled and adaptive community is wide and strong, and happy to have a fuller field this year.
Yeah, we were closer to 50 last year with the same number of classifications. So, you know, the more the merrier, obviously, but it also makes things a bit more competitive in some of these classifications too. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's more fun for everybody to compete when you're competing against somebody. I believe last year we had, and we may have the same situation this year, a couple of classifications where there's only one player or maybe 2 players.
Yep, a couple of classifications with only 1 player, but again, there is still the overall championship up for grabs, so plenty to play for this weekend. And it looks like Mario Dino will be the first to tee off in this group. He hails from Denver, Colorado. Hat flying off there, but looks to be a solid tee shot off the first there for Mario.
Yeah, that was good. Good club head speed there too. We're going. I thought we were going to be going backwards with the hat.
Yeah, we're cinching it down a little bit tighter so it stays on throughout the day. Believe that was Wake Mullins there teeing off.
Wake happy to be playing today.
Native of Lexington, Kentucky, excuse me.
Yeah, he's has had some pretty low scores in his career. Shot 76 at a couple of tracks in Louisville.
Yep. Now up Matt Parker, 32-year-old graduate of Lamont High School, so close to our Midwest Golf House headquarters there down in Lamont.
His low score, career-wise, is 72 at Shepherd's Crook up in the northern suburbs in Zion. So another good player and another good swing, and it looked like that one was right down the middle. They're not missing too many fairways on that first hole.
Another eclectic dream foursome there for Matt. Likes to play with his wife, Emily, Victor Hovland, who had a nice showing last weekend at the U.S. Open, and Noah Kahn. So, again, another music, golfer, and family-related foursome there.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Back over to number 10, Patrick Schielak getting ready to send off the next group there.
Again, just want to take the moment while we have it to thank our presenting sponsor, Illinois Bone and Joint Institute, here for just being a great partner overall as this partnership came to fruition, earlier this year, helping to provide a larger purse, being on site here this week to help the players with whatever they need. And I know Mike and his team of business side of things are very happy with the relationship and looking forward to a prosperous future here.
Luke Heiser is going to be first off the tee here at number 10, the par 5. Luke grew up in Colorado, went to the University of Colorado in Boulder, but now calls Chicago his home too. Has played in several of these adaptive tournaments. Let's see what Luke's career low score is, even par 71. A couple of years ago, so he's like most of us, he's trying to get that old glory back, right?
Absolutely. Looking at Luke's info here, he was actually tragically struck by a train when he was 17 years old. Despite the traumatic nature of the injury, he was only in the hospital for 13 days and went back to school 4 days after that. Administration told him to take the semester off, and he kindly declined. Talk about a positive attitude.
Luke says his strong suit is his short game, so he loves being creative around the greens and imagining possibilities. Nice swing, went down and got that one. Taking a long look.
Next on the tee will be Jared Young. Young calls one town in Georgia down there, Augusta, home.
We've heard of it somewhere. I can't remember exactly where
every
it was.
April, but
another guy who's broken 70 in his golfing career.
As you'll notice there with Jared, as Dan made mention to earlier, that right to left breeze. A lot of players are looking on the left side of that fairway to kind of make sure it's still in play on this par 5.
You can see from that shot a little bit of a dogleg left here, number 10.
Blake Ryan getting his round underway, the Kentucky native. Blake Ryan's dream foursome, Ben Hogan, Jim Ryan, his dad, and Jack Nicklaus. So quite the quality play in that one.
Gonna head back up to number 1, and This next group will include a fascinating player that I watched warm up yesterday, a guy who can really play and a guy who has overcome an extremely serious medical situation to become not just a great adaptive golfer, but a great golfer in his own right. And he'll be up in a couple of players here.
Yep, this will be the group of Luke Carroll, Tracy Raymond, and Issa Lareb. You can see Tracy Raymond there chatting with his fellow competitors and looking to get his round underway.
There's Issa Lareb shaking hands with the CDGA officials. Issa from Cameroon, and I believe was one of the first players on the scene this week to practice up and get accustomed to the golf course.
Yep, he suffered from a coma-inducing bacterial meningitis that took the use of some of his limbs there, as you can see his legs and some of his hands, and was the overall men's champion, excuse me, at the GAP Adaptive Open, the Golf Association of Philadelphia. So has a pedigree of competing well in these championships, and again, another story of dealing with the hand that you've been dealt and moving forward with it.
His golf is such that his potential for this event would probably be to wind up in red figures. That wind is going to make it a lot tougher.
Yes.
Than it normally would be, but this guy can flat out play.
So you guys all have met each other?
Yeah, definitely a name to keep an eye on this weekend. As you said, was one of the first players to be here on site at Fox Bend on Thursday, so got his preparation in and is looking to rise atop that leaderboard.
I was talking to a couple of his fellow competitors yesterday on the putting green, and Issa was chipping on the other side, and one of the guys told me, he said, there's the guy to beat this week right there. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I was told that he had shot 8 under in a 36-hole tournament. I don't know if it was this year or last year, but 8 under par under any circumstances is
Talk
phenomenal.
about your reputation preceding yourself.
Yeah,
right?
no kidding.
And a good one to have for
Big
sure.
target on his back this weekend.
As you see the CDGA's Eric Ciotti getting these players underway, just want to thank the staff of the CDGA. A lot of people went into this, you know, Mike Gilligan spearheading this, Eric Ciotti, a lot of our interns, Tim Robinson, Jalen Fortier, our communications staff, Casey Richards, Jacob Amelie, Simon Schuler, covering it all, you know, posting to social media. We want to thank the partnership with CGN as well, being here for the 2nd year in a row. Too many to name in terms of the CDGA side of things, putting this all together as we thank Fox Bend and Illinois Bone and Joint Institute. It takes a whole team effort to plan and put this event on, and so far so good, and looking forward to putting the onus back on the play on the course.
You know, the CDGA does such a great job in providing an extensive schedule of competitions for players throughout the Chicagoland area and beyond all summer long. Social competitions, national competitions, USGA events. But this one's a little different, isn't it, Tim?
It is.
This one takes a little bit more thought, a little bit more work maybe, a little bit more planning to make everything go as smoothly as you want it to.
A logistical puzzle, but one that we were able to kind of put together, and it's the 2nd year in a row, hopefully bigger and better. So we'll get Luke Carroll here to tee off. Strongest aspect of Luke's game is his short game, and there's a lot of people I think can relate to. When he was younger, he couldn't hit the ball as far as everybody, so had to hone in on his short game, and it's an area of his game that he hangs his hat on. And yet another lefty swing off this first tee here.
We've had a bunch, haven't we? We really have.
Next on the tee from Montrose, Michigan, please welcome Tracy Raymond.
Looks like we've got Tracy Raymond now. Most recently won the Kentucky Adaptive Open. So a champion in his own right. He lashed at that one. Tracy claims, when asked if he had any hole-in-ones, that he has 7.5 with the description of it's a good story. So anybody out there looking for an interesting story as he provides a fist bump. Again, just the great nature of this event as Issa here comes up to tee off.
We mentioned a bout of meningitis cost Issa his legs and some fingers.
Yep, so you see here he's strapping in just to make a solid connection to the grip of the club. A little bit different than just putting on a glove and getting up there and, you know, ripping it a little bit. So think about your most difficult round, heat, wind, and all that, and then add on some of the extra time it takes to just hit the ball. It's quite the story.
He said that he is more than happy to be an example of perseverance for people who might want to take up the game, who are a little bit embarrassed by whatever condition they're suffering from. I mean, this guy is impaired, and this guy can play golf.
Keeping an eye on that one, but again, another quality swing off this first tee. It's just, you can see the time and effort these players put into their game and their skills, and looking to showcase those this weekend. Speaking of impairments and just some of these classifications, I also want to give a shout out to the United States Adaptive Golf Alliance, headquartered there, you know, Jonathan Snyder and his team, who Jonathan's playing in the field this weekend, has an office at Midwest Golf House with us here, just instrumental in helping us navigate these classifications, some of the amenities that may be needed around the course, some of the things you don't think of, right? You know, whether it be restrooms throughout the golf course or other inclusive amenities that are needed for something like this. So I want to give a shout out to the USAGA for their help in navigating that and helping put on both last year's and this year's Adaptive Open.
Yeah, I mean, you see, as we saw yesterday during the Pro-Am, there are a number of portable restrooms scattered around the property, and each one has a wheelchair posted outside, so players who need them can use them, and it's just another example of some of the special needs that come with this tournament and the planning that it takes to make it go the way you want it to.
As you said, we've have experience in you know, administering, whether it's the state amateur or the CDGA amateur or social competitions, but some of the things you don't think of, right, that need to be inclusive for our players here, and we're looking to provide that experience for them. So the 10th tee here, it looks like we'll have the group of Anthony Maldonado, Kyle Erickson, and Phil Mack. It looks like Anthony Maldonado will be the first to tee off in this group. Anthony in the G1 sports classification, which is a leg impairment above the knee. 23-year-old was born in Odessa, Texas, but calls Tucson, Arizona home. will graduate from the University of Arizona in the spring of 2029. As you said, wind just picking up here. Look, you can see the bushes and branches there in the background of Anthony. Will be definitely a factor as these scores come in later this afternoon.
Boy, Anthony generates some club head speed as well. He's playing from the green tees, so he's playing from all the way back here.
Yep, and again, you can just see kind of the time it takes to get set up and be able to hit a shot like that. And obviously on one leg, Anthony proves that he can overcome those obstacles and play well. Kyle Erickson here, the 42-year-old from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Looked like Kyle may have been playing the wind a little bit, kind of knocked it down the right side and opened the wind to blow it back toward the middle.
Yep. Kyle's most recent competition featured a 4th overall place, finished there at the Indiana Adaptive Championship. He came out as the winner. Came out as the winner in the below the knee category. So correction there for folks watching at home, only a twosome in that group. As we go back to the first tee. We'll move on to the 9:50 tee time here.
9:50 off number 1. Will Faulkner, Jeffrey Wood, and Max Togasala.
Yep.
My bad.
As we know, a lot of players coming in from around the country, just getting used to these names. So bear with us, trying to give everybody the right time of day. Here we've got Will Faulkner, the 19-year-old.
I can use ChatGPT to answer that. You can enable.
Will's a very honest young man. He said, last event was the Northern California Adaptive Tournament in March. Not a very good result, he said. So he'll be looking for a little bit better here at Fox Bend this weekend.
Bit of a homecoming for Will. Hometown of Glen Ellen, not too far from here in the western suburbs, but now calls Parker, Colorado home. Will's round underway there, wearing one of the nice Adaptive Open caps that the CDGA member golf shop has here. Kaylee's put a lot of time in on our staff. Kaylee Pell has put a lot of time into providing some unique merchandise, hat options for the players here, and obviously spectators are welcome this weekend to stop by and see the action and grab a piece of the swag.
Yeah, the merch is good. Very good here.
Move up to Max Togasala. Favorite golf memory is winning the U.S. Adaptive Open for the seeded category. So again, another player here with championship pedigree and playing at big-time events.
Max is from Ogden, Utah. Plays around a bit, most recently in a competition in Colorado.
Actually, I believe this might be Jeffrey Wood here. And the tee is Max is a seeded player, so it looks like we've got Jeffrey Wood, who is part of the G12 visual sports classification. Has some instances of light perception.
Graduate of Southern California University, University of Southern California, I guess I should say. Now lives in San Diego.
Speaking of Southern California and San Diego, where he hails, he competed in the Torrey Pines Adaptive Golf Championship. Winner of the low vision category with a round of 86.
Good shot. Beauty.
Good swing.
Yep. As Max comes up here, important information here as we want to put out. Max likes to broadcast his golf journey on social media. So any of our viewers here watching looking to gain further insight into Max and maybe how some of these seeded players play, be sure to check him out on social media.
Togisala. Togisala.
Yep. Max's disability here stems from a skiing accident. Many of us was introduced to the game at the age of 3.
In the air and down the middle.
Again, for those of you who may be just joining us here, we're about to reach 10 o'clock Central Time, looking to get through all of the tee times here as players make their opening round tee shots. As Dan mentioned earlier, not your traditional golf broadcast in that sense that we will be following all of the action, but stay tuned for round 2 tomorrow afternoon as we look to follow along with the final groups and see who comes in with the win.
Moving back over to number 10 now, we're awaiting the tee shots of a twosome here. Marty Neal and Jason Spire.
Two local players.
Yep.
Jason from North Barrington and Marty from Libertyville. Marty Neal, a graduate of Loras College out in Iowa. Also the same college that the CDGA's own Simon Schuler graduated from. So some love here in the communication staff for Loras.
There you go. There you go.
So it looks like Marty might be the first to tee off here. He's part of the arm impairment G4 sports classification. ball away there from Marty.
All right,
Jason.
well struck there,
Yeah.
huh?
Good shot by Jason. As we'll switch back over, you can see a couple members of the Illinois Bone and Joint Institute there in the first tee, welcoming our participants to the championship. This will be the 10 o'clock start time off of 1.
I had a long chat with Andreas Brandenberger yesterday. That's Andreas in the pink hat and the light green shirt there. Arm impairment and hand impairment on both sides, as we see one of the tents go over. So there you go. The wind is picking up a little bit.
Won't be the first, won't be the last, you know.
Andreas, terrific conversationalist, and we had a long chat. You'll be amazed by his golf swing. I will tell you that right now. The young man who shot, the Californian from San Diego, shot 79 in one of these events earlier this year. Some of the things you don't really think about. He told me he can't use sunscreen on his arms because it gets too slick, and the way his clubs are manufactured, you can see that paddle grip on the end there. It slips off if he does that. And the same thing goes for perspiration. He says if he gets too hot, then it gets a little slick. So today it might be a little challenging for him.
Yeah, again, just an outlook or a insight into how the game of golf is just a different game for some of these players. And you can see the club there to the left of Andreas, kind of leaning up on his left shoulder there, almost as tall as him. So
yeah, he's got a unique bag. I mean, his clubs are sticking out about 2 feet out of the top of it.
Passed it yesterday and was curious if they were that long or if they were just sticking out, weren't all the way down to the bottom of the bag. But
yeah, they're definitely that long.
So if it's just in that space, if you're in that space, that's free relief.
Remarkable the advancements in technology and club manufacturing, and how these players can, again, are just so welcomed by the adaptive and the golf community in terms of getting them what they need to compete and play this game we all know and love.
He told me that extension on his club used to be made out of wood. He said it was basically a 2x4 that we kind of shaved down. He said Ping helped him develop this plastic one that's much lighter and easier to control. So shout out to them, and get a chance to see Andreas take a rip at one here in a second. He's a busy guy. He said, I'm single, I have a dog. He goes, I have plenty of time to play in all these events. So he's moving around the country this summer, playing a lot of golf and really having a good time at it.
Yeah. So it looks like the other playing partner in this group, the 38-year-old James Voland, will be the first to tee off here from the white tee set.
James is a Pennsylvanian. Traveled to Chicago for the event. About got blown off the tee box right there.
James is a middle school math teacher and is organizing a golf and activities trip to Ireland in the June of next year. Making great use of those summers off.
I'd cut that one on the heel just a little bit, but it was on its way back to the middle. Yep. And now take a look at Andreas Brandenberger.
Calls a course that we have made mention of a couple times this morning, Torrey Pines, his home course.
Yeah, they have an adaptive event there that he's played in, and like I said, he plays around a lot. He's pretty much coast to coast this summer. I mean, his swing is really flowing, and for what he has to go through to get it together there, it's really kind of amazing.
Mentioned the perspiration, just making sure his hands are as dry and his arms are as dry as possible before he tees off here.
Very nice.
I think many would take that off the first tee any day.
His playing partner, James Folan's in for a day of conversation, I can tell you that, because he's a nonstop talker. Great personality and really enjoys it.
Again, I think, we cover a lot of our championships, and they're full of great players and great backstories, but this one's a little different in terms of just the things that some of these people have went through, and the ability, I think, as you learned yesterday, the ability of people to be willing to discuss their journey and their story, right? I think this community is a very tight-knit one that, they travel to all these, tournaments and championships around the country together, as evidenced by the fact that our field, grew from last year. Word gets around. So I'm sure James and that group will welcome the conversation from Andreas throughout the day.
We're heading back over to number 10, and I have to tell you, Tim, if I have a rooting favorite this week, it's a man in this group. His name is Donnie Coiner. He's from my hometown of Keokuk, Iowa, and plays at the golf course where I grew up playing, where I have about 10,000 rounds in on this little 9-holer, the Keokuk Elks Club golf course. Donnie played a lot of golf with my dad coming up, and he's making it over to Chicago for the first time, and very happy to be here. Had a chance to talk with him yesterday, and says the golf course is still standing, a little rough around the edges, but still going back in Keokuk.
Yeah, he has a hole-in-one on Keokuk, the course there, so I'm sure he has great memories, as do you, Dan.
He's one ahead of me. I never made one there. I'm not finished yet, Tim, though.
There you go.
I'll be back. My father, when he was 75 years old, made 5 aces in the course of 3 months on that golf course.
5 more than I've got to my name, so. Tee-ball off there.
That would be Rob Hanley.
Rob lost his legs at the age of 6 as a result of a birth defect. So again, just things out of our control and living life to the fullest, as a lot of these players are this week.
And here's Donnie. Said he's not much for social media. He has a friend of his who's handling his social media this week.
Donnie's ball off there. He suffered from Ewing's sarcoma between 1981 and 1983, and 10 years later broke his femur because of the amount of radiation he was receiving. So eventually decided to have the leg removed, and he's competing this week, and we're happy to have Donnie out on the course.
Always great to see another Keokukian.
Again, I'm sure you'll have, like you said, a rooting interest in Donnie this week. As broadcasters, we're typically unbiased, but fun to have a little bias there for sure. So we go back over to the first tee. Be the group of Matthew Wilson, Brian Liston, and Kevin Holland.
Brian Liston's quite a character, isn't he?
He is. He's a great friend of the CDGA's. He participates in a lot of our sunshine programs. Has made appearances at the Chicago Golf Show throughout the year. Always a friend of the CDGA. Always comes up and says hi to us, and we appreciate Brian's support of not only the programs but playing this weekend as well.
Lives in Morton Grove. Went to Niles West High School. Plays out of Wilmette Golf Club.
Frequenter of the Illinois Special Olympics. Again, the work that they do is, can't be understated in the impact that they make in the lives of these individuals.
Brian said his ideal foursome would be himself, Bill Murray, Rodney Dangerfield, and Jackie Gleason.
Quite the foursome there.
And away we go. He's playing with Kevin Holland, and Kevin said he'd like to play with Tiger, himself, Sevi, and Mo Norman, who's a great Canadian golf instructor. Unique would be one way to put it, I think.
Sure.
So we may see some of those Mo Norman techniques out of Kevin Holland here before too long.
Again, Eric on our staff just going through some of the details of the day with the players as they get their rounds underway. Again, as we've talked about Fox Bend being such a supportive host site, making, as we talked about logistics as well, just, a lot of things in terms of making the bunkers accessible via wheelchair or seated carts, the players' assistance and the work that they do. It's amazing to see how many, different entities can come together to put on an event like this.
Yeah, I mean, if you play certain golf courses and you see that the drop from the lip, even from the far side from the green, from the bunker to where your ball might be in there, is a bit, and then there are a lot of high lips on the front side, and the golf courses like that don't really have the ability to accommodate some of these players.
Yep.
And Fox Bend is one that's pretty good at it. Cog Hill last year, same thing.
Absolutely. We've definitely been fortunate with the partner sites that we've worked with these first 2 years to get this championship underway.
Somebody may wind up with that CDGA flag as a souvenir in their front yard before the day is over with.
As we said, though, thankful for some wind as temperatures are forecasted to exceed over 100 degrees with the heat index. So everybody's staying hydrated and staying as safe as possible out here. But again, looking forward to showcasing these players this weekend.
First on the tee, Matthew Wilson, arm impairment. He's from Brentwood, Tennessee. "18 years of age.
Points to his driver as a strong aspect of his game, and you can see why there.
We're going to move up a box for Brian Liston. That would be Brian right there, tipping his cap to the crowd. He's a fun guy.
Said he enjoyed his practice round yesterday, so looking to utilize that course knowledge here today. Bit of a Fred Couples-esque swing there. Not a lot of motion, but it looked like it was a powerful swing and getting his tee ball out into the fairway. And again, just Brian, just emphasizing the camaraderie with these groups, clapping for his fellow teammate or his fellow playing partner, excuse me, as they begin their round here. Got Kevin Holland here, hailing from Washington, Michigan. Driver underway, T-ball out there. Kevin lists basketball as another hobby of his.
It's certainly not a stretch to say that, like golfers of all ages and abilities, these guys keep a pretty close eye on other sports as well. So it's not surprising that you hear a lot of Michael Jordans and people like that would be in some of these dream foursomes.
Yeah, these disabilities don't preclude these players from having sports and interests and being well versed across the sports landscape. As we go to the 10th tee here, this will be the group of Mike Sampson, Brian Warner, and Dave Rieger. Rieger.
Mike Sampson, another Illinoisan from Highland Park, 50 years of age. Mike plays out of Winnetka Golf Club. That is one of the busier golf facilities in the northern suburbs for sure.
Yep. Get your pick of those up on the North Shore, but definitely one of the more busier ones. I believe this first on the tee will be Dave Rieger here, part of the leg impairment below the knee, G2 sports classification. Dave currently lives in Fort Worth, Texas, but is a native of Hampton, Nebraska. Dave's tee ball away, keeping an eye on it.
Pretty good rip for a guy who's is up in my category, Tim, 69 years old.
Next up will be Brian Warner. Brian's from South Bend, Indiana. Not too far around the southern part of Lake Michigan. Year-olds tee shot underway here.
Seem to be pretty happy with that one. Yep. Another quick pickup of the tee.
With that. And as you mentioned, the Highland Park native here, Mike Sampson, getting underway. Pretty interesting dream foursome here for Mike, featuring Larry David, Happy Gilmore, Tiger Woods, and himself. So I'm sure the comedic relief in that group would be unparalleled.
Yeah, you wouldn't really be worrying too much about your golf and that crew, I don't think. All right, off and running.
Back to the first tee here again. Just for those of you who may just be joining us, this is the first round of the second Chicago Adaptive Open. This event, 36 holes, as Dan mentioned, 1 round today, 1 round tomorrow, featuring a purse of now $30,000, thanks to our partners at Illinois Bone and Joint Institute. So quite a large purse, but again, here for the community and camaraderie that this adaptive community brings to these events.
Yeah, it's far from about the money at these events, and the players are so appreciative of the opportunities that they get to play in these events, and this is a good one. Fox Bend has been a terrific host, and the CDGA has done a great job of getting things together. We're happy to be with you, courtesy of CGN, to bring a little bit of the event to you via stream, and looking forward to a great weekend. We're just about 2/3, maybe a little bit further than that, through the opening tee shots today. Again, we're just trying to introduce you to as many of these people as we can, and tomorrow we'll get into the more competitive aspect of the event. And you know, make no mistake, it's competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a tight race tomorrow for sure, in a multitude of areas, right? Different sports classifications, overall men's champion, overall women's champion, as well as an overall senior champion. So a lot to play for this weekend, but as we said, it's a lot more than just the competitive golf on the course. And as you said, just want to again thank CGN for partnering with us for this stream. Last year was our first kind of endeavor into this area, and we're thankful that they've come back and partnered with us to showcase these great golf stories in this tournament throughout the weekend. It's been fun, and we're looking forward to more of it this weekend. So it looks like the 10:20 tee time here as we get started will be Jake Boser, Corey Nichols, and Larry Solano.
I talked with Larry for a minute yesterday. Larry is in the seated category. All smiles yesterday. He was having a great time just hanging out and talking to everybody that walked past.
As many were, yeah. Yesterday we had our Friday Pro-Am where a host of guests, invited guests, and people from around the community were able to come in and play with an adaptive player in some of these groups and see the course, get to know these players, and it was quite an afternoon.
How do you suppose Eric's voice is holding up back there?
Eric's got experience in this for sure. As we said, all the social competitions, some of his TV broadcast work, the Big Ten network as well. So this is where Eric shines for sure. So it looks like we've got Jake Boser up first. Jake, part of the G13 sports classification, which is a visual. He's got vision less than 20 degrees of radius. Calls Nashville, Tennessee home. Tee ball away and looking for the tee. Pretty happy with that one.
Yep, look pretty good.
We'll move up to the forward gold tees here.
Looks like Corey Nichols will be next to play. Corey from Flint, Michigan, 53 years old.
Corey's favorite golf memory was his first adaptive tournament 3 years ago at the Michigan Amputee/Adaptive Open. So we've talked about championship pedigree for a lot of these players, but a lot of these players just kind of getting into the scene here. And Dan, wouldn't you know it, another lefty off the first tee here.
Actually took a chunk of turf right there.
Yep.
One of the first players we've seen hit an iron off the opening tee.
Solid fist bump with his caddy. Happy with that one as we move to Larry.
Larry is an Arizona State grad who lives in Chandler, Arizona, 56 years old.
Part of Larry's information here is that he was the recipient of a Purple Heart from the invasion of Panama in 1989.
Play some golf.
Quite the movement there for Larry.
Larry was talking to that one before the ball even got off his club face.
And playing up to the camera, Larry. Best of luck with your round here, sir.
Get my good side.
Not one to shy away from
No,
the camera,
no,
Larry.
he's a
there.
character. That's what it's all about right there, Tim.
Yep.
Let's have some fun out there.
The competition, and you know, a lot of these competitions around the country, tournaments can get pretty stressful, but Larry there just showcasing the perspective and mindset that these players have this week. Go over to the 10th tee here, waiting the next 10:25 tee time here, Central Time. So we've got the trio here of Dan Dietrich, Steve Hewsome, and Sean Collins.
Dan is another homie from Schaumburg, Illinois. Still lives in Schaumburg.
Yep, calls Schaumburg Golf Club home, a great facility up there in the northwest suburbs.
Yeah, a place that's really fun to play. Dan is in the G3 category, leg impairment in both legs.
When asked what his strongest aspect of his game is, Dan said that putting may be the strongest, but then added he might have just jinxed himself. Hoping to see some good play from Dan this weekend. You see there on the 10th tee a couple of our other sponsors. We'd like to shout out Wintrust Bank, as well as Wadsworth Golf Charities, just helping put on this event this weekend.
Imperial hats, part of the deal. I played with two guys from Imperial yesterday, along with Ryan, and we had a terrific time.
Tee-ball away there, again, like many off this tee with that right to left wind, keeping an eye on it down the left side. But, and as you mentioned, kind of a dog leg here off this par 5. We've got Steve Hewsome here from Cedar Falls, Iowa.
Went to college at Upper Iowa, the home of the Peacocks.
Fun foursome here for Steve. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Ben Hogan, and Arnold Palmer. Hewsome gets his tee-ball away, his first round underway as well. Lastly, we will probably move up here to the gold tees on this par 5 for Sean Collins, a seated golfer with some use of his trunk and lower body. Mr. Collins here hails from Lakewood, Ohio.
And you'll see some of the seated golfers, as we've seen. I mean, they can take a pretty mean rip at it. And it's interesting to note, I guess, and certainly seems fair to me, that the gold tee box is quite a ways up from the green tee box. So there is a bit of an advantage there if you're able to really generate a little club head speed here.
Sean's been playing golf since the age of 10 and has been playing golf as a solo rider, a seated rider here for the last 7 years.
A lot of experience. And off and going right down the middle. You didn't have to watch that one very long.
Nope, and again, just shouting out the work of these players' assistants and some of these players' caddies here for, as we saw, teeing the ball up, helping them line up their shots, make sure they're well prepared and well ready to hit the shot that they're looking to make.
The maximum score on any hole is 8. Doesn't matter if it's par 5, par 4. Once you get to 8, you can go ahead and pick up. You can move on.
Going up here on the bottom of the hour here, 10:30, as we move over to the first tee once more. Again, some of the sponsors, as we've discussed, CDGA TV, some of the work that our communications staff does, myself, Casey Richards, Jacob Bomley, Simon Schuler, covering all of our championships, but this weekend here, the Adaptive Wadsworth Golf Charities and a lot of the course design work and stuff that they do around the Chicago district. Our presenting sponsor, Illinois Bone and Joint Institute, Wintrust, Chicago's bank, the official banking partner of the CDGA, and Fox Bend, you know, CGN, as you mentioned, Imperial Headwear. There's too many to thank in terms of putting on an event of this status. So thankful for the team effort and the work that all of these entities have put in. As looks like we've got some more pictures here on the first tee. These players are excited to be here, and we love all of the photos and stuff that are taken. So this group will feature Matthew Gang, Tyler Williams, and Daniel Schlatterer.
Looks like Daniel is first up.
Okay.
58-year-old originally from Buffalo, New York, now makes his home in Atlanta.
Most recent competition for Daniel was the North American One-Armed Golf Annual Championship earlier this month. Dan claims that the strong aspect of his game is chipping with an 8-iron, so a little bit different way to get the ball onto the green, but I'm sure one that he's mastered.
Yeah, you know, Fox Bend has a lot of greens that have run-up areas that would be pretty good for a shot like that, so we'll keep an eye on Mr. Schlatterer and see how he does with that 8-iron.
Is a enjoyer of classic cars and has a 1969 Camaro currently in his garage, so not too shabby of a ride for Mr. Schlatterer.
.30-year-old Tyler Williams on the tee, Kaysville, Utah.
Good looking swing there, good follow through, good hold at the end there.
Posing.
Yep. A lot of these players aware of the stream and then some of these photos, so got to make sure they look good for the media.
They're going to have to work to ham it up any better than Larry Solano did.
Yep. Larry set the stage, set the bar there for
He
sure.
did.
But we've got plenty of time on the stream to make up for that.
Matthew Gang is on the tee, Oakton, Virginia, 24 years old.
Again, some of the work that these players do off the course. Matthew has a foundation with his family to help others through the game of golf.
Good swing.
As we wish Matthew well on his first round, we'll move over to the 10th tee here.
Still doing good out there? He's all good out on the hole? Yeah, I think he just made some.
As we mentioned at the opening of this broadcast, just again want to thank Fox Bend for having us out this weekend, giving us full use of this facility. Lou Ramadani, the head golf professional, you know, Bob and his staff at the superintendents and you know, maintenance crew side, just thankful that they were, you know, willing to allow us the use of this during a pretty busy period in the summer here in the Chicago district. As you know, Dan, we get few months to play this game that we all love throughout the year, and we're thankful that they're giving us full use of this facility this weekend.
Yeah, they would. It would be pretty packed tee sheet around here.
Yep.
On Saturday and Sunday for sure. I know they have a lot of permanent tee times in the mornings on the weekends and a lot of regular play behind that, and it's really, really generous.
Yes.
For the golf course and the park district here in Oswego to donate the course for the use of this event over 3 days too, because Friday the same thing.
And even as we saw with Issa on Thursday on the range here, so multitude of time and days here that Fox Bend has worked with us to allow this event to go on, and we're thankful for their generosity.
Yeah, it's really great. I mean, they have a nice range on the east side of the property, and then a couple of other practice greens, good areas to work on all facets of your game.
Yep.
So I'm sure everybody's been out there doing a little work, getting ready for today.
Yep. Actually, the driving range is just to the right side of this 10th tee box here, so great facility, as Dan mentioned. This will be the 10:35 starting time off of 10. We've got Chris Roberts and Eric Huber. Chris Roberts here from Silva, North Carolina, but currently calls Louisville, Texas home. Part of the G5 arm impairment sport classification. His tee ball underway, satisfied with that one as he walks off. Setting the stage for Eric Huber. Funny note here on Eric. And when asked strongest aspect of his game, says it depends on the day. I think we can all relate with that one.
I would say that's pretty much universal.
Something works, something else doesn't.
Yeah, we'll see how his tee ball's working right here. Pretty well, I would say.
Yeah.
Like another fairway found.
Eric spent 13 months in a hospital bed after a serious motorcycle accident back in 2012. So happy to see Eric back and doing well and competing in the championship here. Dan, we've seen a lot of men tee off here this morning. We saw Ryan Jackson earlier, but looks like we'll have a trio of women teeing off here on the first hole.
Side. What's that?
We were not there yesterday.
Correct. Yeah.
If you buy a sand ramp, it's in your way, it's impeding your...
Yes, you can take free relief, move away from it, no closer to the hole.
This event, again, open to all ages, all genders, all sports classifications.
This is a sand ramp that's outside the box.
Looking to highlight the best the best stories of this adaptive community.
Yeah, stance and a coupling, as if you were on a park path.
What do we have? In total, 4 women in the field?
I believe the count is you have 4, as we mentioned. Ryan Jackson, who you played with yesterday, we saw a little bit earlier, and then we've got the trio here of Cindy Lawrence, Deborah Smith, and Nancy Towers. Cindy from Eau Claire, Wisconsin, currently calls Lehigh Acres, Florida home, but we've got a Rockford and Downers Grove resident in this group as well, so a little local Chicago district flavor.
It is 10, but for the championship purposes, 1 and sheet 1 is 1, and so on and so forth.
Okay, wait.
Appreciate our assistant here on the right side of the screen keeping hold on the tent so we don't have another flyaway situation.
Yeah, it's not getting any easier out there in terms of conditions. It's
the day is
warming up and starting to blow a little bit harder.
I just wanted to verify I have 18.
We await the 10:40 tee time here in just under 2 minutes.
I don't know what that is. It's a yardage.
Oh, yes.
Instead of, because I don't use it.
Yeah, we can use yardage.
But
Just want to thank everyone who's tuned in here this morning for the first round of the second Chicago Adaptive Open. As we continue with this live stream here through at least the next half hour or so ahead of tomorrow's second round. So our group here in the tee gets underway with a nice prayer session.
Group hug.
That's the cool stuff there, Dan. That's what you might not see in any other tournaments here.
These ladies will be making their way up to the gold tee boxes and starting their round from there. 260-yard par 4 for them. This is a group with some diverse interests as well. Travelers, people who like to get out and play golf around the world, around the country. Nancy Towers is an Amputee Coalition certified peer mentor. She helps those facing or dealing with amputation after having that happen to herself. Deborah Smith, 3 grandkids, love spending time with them. Says last month went to Istanbul and Paris on a trip.
Quite the world traveler. I'm sure she's happy to add Oswego here to the list of recent travels.
Cindy Lawrence says she likes playing in flashy golf attire. She got the nice green and white dress working today.
Easy to pick her out of a crowd here if she's announced on the first tee.
Cindy lost her legs as a result of complications following childbirth. So she's playing with a couple of blades. And there you go.
Deborah Smith here. Deborah, just the epitome of strength and perseverance, a 4-time cancer survivor there, Dan. Just an amazing backstory.
All right. All right, Nancy Towers away. Downers Grove, went to Downers Grove North High School.
I'm sure that'll be a fun group all day. Seems like the you know, the vibe or the mojo in that group are going to be high with those three women. So looking forward to seeing how they play throughout the day.
That Nancy's played a practice round or two out here.
Yep. Downers Grove, not too far east of here. We look to go back to the 10th tee here following this group as we remain on the first here with the second shot, but shot of the parking lot here at Fox Bend, Dan. As we said, the public is welcome to come out and see these adaptive golfers compete and be out here to experience just some of the great aspects that the game of golf provides. So Fox Bend, an easily accessible facility here in Oswego, the western suburbs, just off of US 34.
Yeah, Ogden Avenue, really easy to get here.
Yep.
From almost anywhere.
Yep. Shot of the rain, and as Dan was talking about earlier, this facility just perfect for not only a championship like this, but for a public facility here in the Chicago district. Definitely one of the best. As you see there, it looks like Mr. Dennis Walters getting his range session underway. Dennis, a World Golf Hall of Famer and a proud worker with Jersey Mike's as a influencer and spokesman for them. As you see in the cart, Jersey Mike's there. Dennis has spent the last few weeks here locally in the Chicago district performing events and shows at different facilities across the area, and benefiting the foundation that we have, benefiting the work that he does, as well as Jersey Mike. So we thank Dennis for his time these last few weeks and wish him the best in the round today.
Yeah, Dennis was a terrific, able-bodied player. Almost 50 years ago, was on a career path to turn pro and try and play on the PGA Tour, and was injured in a golf cart accident and lost the use of his legs, and has figured out a way to become a golfer that has made his career in it. And as you said, Tim, a Hall of Famer, World Golf Hall of Famer, and certainly the most famous adaptive golfer in the world today. And his show is fantastic. I mean, I saw him personally for the first time last year at this event at Golf House when he put on that exhibition in the rain, and people just stood out there getting wet because they were so amazed at what he was able to do.
But before we get to Dennis there at 11:10, we've got a couple more tee times before then. We go to the 10:45 10th tee start here, the trio of Jake Jones, Ryan Matthews, and Jonathan Snyder. Jake Jones here from Swartz Creek, Michigan. Currently called Swartz Creek home. Jake's Dream Foursome features Bryson DeChambeau, John Daly, and Max Homa.
Pretty good crew.
Yep. We've got Ryan Matthews here next to tee off.
Another native Michigander who now lives in Anderson, Indiana.
Maintaining a watchful eye on that one, but looks to be out there in play. And again, as we've made mention, Jonathan Snyder, our liaison here with the USAGA, United States Adaptive Golf Alliance, has played such a pivotal role in bringing this open and this event to our schedule, not only last year but this year as well. We thank Jonathan for his insight and his help in getting this underway and off the ground.
Good swing. Jonathan is certainly a champion for adaptive golf. That goes without saying, but he's also a competitor.
Yeah,
he plays in a lot of these events and really loves it.
As Kevin Kisner once said, this isn't just a hobby, right?
No, it is not.
Happy to see Jonathan playing here this weekend and look forward to seeing how he fares over the next 2 rounds.
Well, the ladies are on their way to the green back at number 1, and that brings us to the 10:50 starting time. Alan Salas Rudia, Bryce Holcomb from Quincy, Illinois, and then Justin Miller will be this third to last group going off number 1 tee here this morning.
Yeah, again, an open event, open championship here, and Alan Salas providing some international flavor as he hails from Mexico City. So happy to have Alan here with us this weekend. Just proof that golf is such an international sport these days that continues to grow and grow.
Alan Salas has a championship or 2 to his name. His most recent competition was last year in the Argentina Adaptive Open. So here's a guy who gets around a little bit.
Yep, as we've made mention a couple of times this morning here, this is an adaptive community that does like to travel, playing these events all across the country, and as we can see here today, all across the world.
Alan says he has yet to make a hole-in-one, but he was standing near his dad when his dad knocked one in and said went dancing around the grass like the pros do. Whatever that means, I'm not sure.
I'm sure it was quite the celebration regardless.
Hey, you can't celebrate that, you can't celebrate anything,
yep.
Right?
Again, the CDJ's Eric Ciotti just getting this group prepared with some of the information necessary to play throughout this round. As we said, Price Holcomb, Alan Salas, and Justin Miller. Price is competing in the G15 sports classification, which is an intellectual disability. Alan Salas, part of the G8 sports classification in the neurological and coordination impairments, and Justin Miller in the G10 seated category. So just a little bit of just some of the various sports classifications competing here this week. We have at least one in every category, which is nice to see.
Yeah, and as mentioned, there are 15 categories and a purse of $30,000. So there'll be some money spread out among all 15 of these categories.
Yep.
When it's all said and done. So there's certainly a heavy competitive aspect to this.
Yep. And much like the official World Golf Rankings or World Amateur Rankings, the adaptive community has the WR4GD system, which is the world ranking for golfers with disability. And this event features some points being awarded at the end of it as well. So some points in that sense, as well as a little bit of money up for grabs this week.
Any questions?
Just getting some of the final logistics worked out with this 10:50 start time here off of 1.
Also the CDGA white team markers. Justin, you're playing the CDGA gold team. All
again, doing our best to stay on time with these tee times, but obviously the circumstances may dictate that we spend a little more time, getting these players just affiliated and situated within the round.
Pretty close to on schedule, though.
Yeah, it's been a pretty flawless morning here, I will say. Thankful that we've been able to kind of go back and forth, feature everybody, as has been kind of the purpose and hope for this, was to kind of provide everybody their moment on the stream, and we're well on our way to do that. So it looks like Alan Salas will be the first to tee off here, again from Mexico City. Alan with a bit of a club twirl there.
Got that one down the left side of the fairway, but I think it's in the short grass, and that brings us to 28-year-old Bryce Holcomb from Quincy, Illinois. Bryce has had a hole-in-one. In fact, he's had 2 in his career.
As many in our player information forms here would like to play with Rory, Tiger, as well as some of his family members. So Bryce holding that tee shot.
Not his best, but you'll be able to reach the green from there, I'm pretty sure.
And as we said, the final of this trio here is Justin Miller from Concho, Arizona. Placed second in his division at the Southern California Adaptive Championship earlier this summer and spring. Justin also won the Texas Adaptive Open in 2024.
He's 39 years old, now living in Apache Junction, Arizona, which is just east of Mesa in the Phoenix Metroplex there.
As is the case that we've talked about all morning, these players having a multitude of activities and interests. Justin is a musician and used to be the frontman of a rock band called Burn This for a Friend. Makes mention that this music is available on all streaming platforms. So again,
of course he
nice
did.
Marketing pitch. Burn this for a friend.
Happy to be able to help him, right? Yep. Justin looks like he's plotting strategy here.
As it looks like Price here just getting his second shot out of the way as Justin looks to take the tee box. Again, these forward gold tees. Justin's disability stems from a car accident he experienced in April of 2003 that left him paralyzed from the waist down.
Get that ball perfectly placed.
Looks like Justin's playing a yellow ball here. And his first round is now underway. Switching gears back down to number 10. Again, just to make note, and a lot of you are familiar with, maybe familiar with the Fox Bend Golf Course. Dan, this week we happened to switch the 9s just for logistical purposes. So the usual first tee is now this week's 10th tee. Vice versa, the 10th tee is now 1 for this week. So Some adjustments needed to accommodate this championship, but we move on. As it looks like Andrew Austin will be the first to tee off in this group. The 27-year-old hails from Radnor, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia, but calls Charleston, South Carolina home.
In terms of switching the nines, Tim, I was confused all day yesterday in the Pro-Am because the last time I played here, this was the configuration. So the scorecard was backwards. I couldn't figure out where I was.
Yep.
Fortunately, I had some Sherpas in my group that helped me get to the right spots. But I know there were a group or two that actually finished on one of the 9 or 18 and went to the wrong hole.
Yeah. Andrew, another lefty here.
Good swing there.
Off the 10th. Dream foursome includes Tiger Woods, Steph Curry, and Timothy Chalamet, an actor who's had quite the recent run in a couple of movies.
That would be fun.
So it looks like we've got William Dory in here. Part of the G2 leg impairment category, which is below the knee.
Plays out of McRae.
Yep.
Up in Barrington.
Resident of Hoffman Estates.
Yep. Graduate of Elmhurst University.
Chicago guy through and through. Seemed happy with that tee shot. I believe this is Alan Gentry here. Third member of this group. According to our tee sheet here, Alan hails from Louisville, Kentucky.
Nice smooth swing there.
Repping the Louisville pride there, Louisville Cardinals.
He sure is. 60 years old.
And back to the range here with Dennis Walters, as we've got, I believe, the fourth iteration of his famed four-legged friend here. I believe it's Gus or Gussie.
Always by his side, right?
Yep, always by his side as part of the show. Travels everywhere with Dennis. Always nice to see a golf course dog. I've always, whether it be the maintenance crew or dogs and golf courses, just seem like the right fit.
They really do, and you see them, not every golf course, but on certainly a lot of them.
Definitely a treat to see one when you do. Keeping Gussie there in the shade again as we reach 11 o'clock here, close to noon, as the heat intensifies, but so does the golf.
Gussie's got a pretty good life, I'd say. Getting carted around 4 or 5 hours a day. Well fed, well hydrated, no question about that.
Gets a lot of attention. As you see there, just the multitude of stickers on Dennis's cart there, just showcasing the different avenues and ways that he makes an impact on this game.
Dennis is still a group away. He'll be playing in the final threesome off the first tee here this morning.
As we move to the 11 o'clock here off of 1, we've got the group of Henry Steinkin, John Sass, and Jose Moctezuma Hernandez.
Another Mexican player from Santa Clara, Puebla.
This is Henry Steinkin from Wilmette, Illinois, up on Chicago's North Shore, calls Highland Park home. 32-year-old's tee ball is away. Jose Hernandez here again, as Dan mentioned, from Mexico, making the trip up here.
Jose playing from the back tees, 39 years old.
Was injured in a motorcycle accident.
Right down Central.
And finally, from Wilmette, Illinois, please welcome Henry Steinken.
Last member of this grouping here, John Sass from Star City, Indiana. "34-year-old making the trip up here to Oswego to compete in this Open.
Good contact.
Yep.
And with that, we're down to our last couple of groups.
Yep.
And there's interesting storylines in our final group off number 10 here. Two of the youngest participants, in fact, the youngest as far as I can tell. Owen Wills, 14 years old.
Yep.
Goes to Lincoln Way West High School, lives in New Lenox. Says he plays his golf at Morris Country Club, but gets around a little bit. Low score at Nettle Creek. He had an 82, which is a pretty good score for anybody 14 years old.
Yep. Cites his favorite golf memory is making par on the 16th hole at the TPC Scottsdale Stadium course. So
that's pretty good.
Not bad for a 14-year-old.
Good chipper.
This group will be rounded out by Charlie Dell, another youngster here, another teenager at the age of 17, and Adrian De La Rosa, 21-year-old. So a little bit younger of a group here, but I'm sure nevertheless some solid play, as we've heard about in their player info and are bound to see here this weekend.
So Owen Wills was involved in an accident when he was 3 years old and suffered an amputation at that point. But his family and he have really come together to make the most of this. In fact, have helped raise over $350,000 for Loyola University Medical Center and the Jordan Thomas Foundation.
Incredible work. Again, taking a bad situation and making it one that not only benefits them but benefits others.
He looks like a player, doesn't he?
He does, yes. This lists Owen lists this as his first time competing in an adaptive event. So we welcome Owen to the field here this week and wish him the best, not only this week but in future tournaments. That's got to be cool, Dan, getting that first announcement on your first adaptive event here. It should be hopefully a core memory for Owen as he continues his career.
I bet he's ready to go. Opening swing of the day. Like it.
Good follow through. Owen's day underway with a fist bump to his caddy there. Looks like we'll have Charlie Dell, again, a local kid from Oaklawn here.
Talk about some of these athletes participating in other sports. Charlie has bowled a 298.
Not bad here.
A 2-pin leave away from perfection.
I'm sure as the competitor that he probably is, I'm sure that was both welcomed with acceptance, but a little bit of frustration getting that close. Watching it there for Charlie, just going back to Jonathan Snyder and the work the USAGA does and the impact that they make. Charlie lists Jonathan Snyder as part of his dream foursome, so
very nice.
Just speaks to kind of the volume of work that they do, the inspiration that they are to this community and these golfers. We'll move up to the gold tees here for Adrian De La Rosa. Adrian from Homestead, Florida, now calls Ave Maria, Florida home.
He was injured in an auto accident several years ago and has overcome that to become an adaptive golfer. Takes on a pretty good rip at it from his seated position there on the cart. Yeah, it's a different cart, isn't it, Tim? Yes. We haven't seen one quite like that. Good swing.
Good swing for somebody who notes in his information there that he's only been playing golf for about 10 months.
No kidding.
So quite the first impression here for Adrian as he gets his first round underway.
Keep an eye out for him.
Yep. We move to this first tee box in this final group of the first round of the second Chicago Adaptive Open. As we said, Dennis Walters part of this group, but we'll be playing with Kenny Gentile and Matt King in this group. And Gus, of course, as Gus takes
Don't
a seat
forget
there.
Gus.
His umbrella is up for now, but I'm sure we'll be making use of that at some point to keep the sun off the little guy there.
We mentioned Dennis's impairment as the result of a golf cart accident back in the mid-'70s. So he's certainly adapted his game and his love of the game.
Yep, a well-documented story and one that many can go online and find pretty easily via Google search. But like we said, had a career set on, you know, making it probably on the PGA Tour or in some professional capacity, and has now kind of been flying the flag and putting the stake in the ground for this adaptive community. So thankful for the impact that Dennis has made to the game of golf, but also the adaptive community as a whole. So it looks like this trio will all be playing from the gold tee markers up on this par 4. Only about 260 today.
Kenny Gentile is visually impaired. 68-year-old, born in Westmont, Illinois, now lives in Angola, Indiana.
Most recent competition for Kenny was the Indiana Adaptive Open, where he won his category and placed 4th amongst the seniors in the field. Great golf swing there for Kenny.
Always good to see an event, Tim, where you have senior competition in it, a senior division.
Sure. Yep, allows for more open of a field, a more diverse field, and obviously gives everybody something to kind of play for.
Please welcome Dennis Walter.
As Dennis gets ready for his opening tee shot. As many in the golf world, Dennis calls Jupiter, Florida home. I'm sure Gus is having a good time enjoying the breeze there, as we can see.
He's watching.
Yeah.
Actually, Gus is paying close attention here.
As we mentioned, Dennis has a trick shot show that he travels with. Hopefully doesn't need to use a whole lot of trick shots this weekend, but a great player nevertheless.
I don't think he has any rubber hose shafts in that bag today.
75-year-old recently shot his own age earlier this spring and
fabulous.
Notched a hole in one, so he's out here to play and compete. So Dan, that'll do it for this opening round, as we got to see all of our contestants tee off in either the first and 10th hole.
Been a great morning. Such a diverse field, and all these golfers so appreciative of the opportunity to come out and compete. Not just compete, but just to play.
Yeah, everybody shares the love of the game of golf, and we're obviously thankful for those who tuned in here this morning. As Dan mentioned, we'll be back tomorrow morning, more of a traditional broadcast. For more information, stay locked into cdga.org/adaptive open.
Before we get off the air, we're going to go back and take a look at some of these swings from the opening round here at Fox Bend.
All right, good.
Well, we've talked about the 15 classifications, Tim, of disability that we have here for the tournament. And you're getting a chance to look at a lot of those right here as we take a look at some highlights and some of the swings from the opening round. I mean, it's really quite fascinating to see how some of these people have adapted to, as you said, a rough lot in life, and able to take it out to the golf course and enjoy the game that we all love so much.
Yeah, definitely, as we said, a competition, but more than just that here this weekend at Fox Bend. Just want to thank, again, all of our sponsors, Illinois Bone and Joint Institute for their help this week, Fox Bend for being such a great host facility, all of our volunteers, our staff, CGN for this stream as well. It takes a village to kind of put this on, and we're thankful to have a lot of good partners on our team. So, great morning as we get the first round underway, but looking forward to tomorrow's second round.
Yeah, we'll remind you again that as of now, we're going to be on the air with a live stream again we think around midday tomorrow, although that could change depending on the weather. If it heats up any more than it has already, we may move those tee times up a bit and join you a bit earlier than we had normally scheduled to do. So we'll see how that works out. You can find out more information on that on the CDGA website, cdga.org/adaptiveopen.
So as we finish off some highlights here of the morning, Dan, looking forward to a second round, but it's been a treat to sit here with you and give these people the proper recognition that they deserve, and looking forward to a great competitive round tomorrow.
Here again on the live stream, the 2025 Chicago Adaptive Open.